Hello, I'm Wendy Siegel. I've been helping students get into college for the past 33 years. Over that time, college entrance tests and strategies have changed, but the college application process now has unprecedented challenges. So what should high school students be doing now during the current crisis to ensure their best chance of getting into a college that's a really great fit for them? The question I've been asked most recently now is, since more and more colleges are going test optional, do I really have to prepare for the SATs or ACTs? Why should I bother? So should you bother? In a word, yes. And let me give you several reasons why. First of all, let me discuss what test optional means. It means that you may apply to that school without scores, but it doesn't mean that the school prefers that you apply without scores, or even that it will treat applications equally that do and don't have scores attached. Of the 1,100 or so schools that are currently test optional, only 232 don't consider the tests at all. Many of those are less selective schools or schools that accept everybody. Furthermore, schools that say they're test optional may not be test optional for everyone. State schools like California, recently announced, and other schools still require SATs and ACTs for out-of-state students. Some schools require tests for certain majors or programs, and some require SATs or ACTs if your GPA doesn't meet their minimum standards. Most importantly, perhaps, nearly all schools, test optional or not, still require SATs or ACTs for certain merit scholarships. Each college has its own policy. Cornell, for example, is test optional, but only if you live a certain distance from a testing site or if your family has suffered significant financial hardships this year. But if you looked at a list of test optional schools, Cornell would be on the list. So while there are several excellent websites for building a list of colleges that you'd like to apply to, remember that you have to go to each college's website to make sure you have the most accurate and up-to-date information. So why are so many schools going test optional? Because more students apply to schools that are test optional. That means more application fees, and that really adds up for the colleges. It also means a wider applicant pool. Many minority students score lower on SATs and ACTs, as do students from poor neighborhoods. By being test optional, the colleges allow a greater number of students to apply who might not consider that school otherwise. Also, when a lot of people apply, the college gets to say no to a lot of kids, and that increases the school's prestige. The more students they say no to, the more selective the school looks. There are even more reasons why schools have decided to go test optional. One reason is that since low-scoring students tend not to submit those scores, the college's average SAT and ACT score goes up because they're only getting scores from the higher scoring students, and that makes the college look even more selective and prestigious. Furthermore, going test optional during this crisis makes the college look very compassionate and is good for their public relations. And perhaps most importantly, colleges go test optional because since students with good scores send them in, the college can accept those high scoring students first and then fill in the rest of their incoming freshman class with the students who didn't submit any scores at all. So, should you bother to prepare for the SAT or ACT or both of them? Should you even bother to take them? I'd strongly say yes, you should. But since most schools are dropping their SAT subject test requirements, you can probably avoid having to take those, but do send them in if you've already taken them. But please check each school's website to find out their policy for your major and program. So why should you bother to take an SAT or an ACT and not only take it, but take it seriously? Well, first of all, test optional doesn't mean that the college doesn't look more favorably on applications that include tests. Secondly, for test optional schools, about 80% of students do include their scores. So don't put yourself at a disadvantage by not having scores to send. And thirdly, submit the SAT or ACT because that'll give you twice the chance of getting into any individual college and 4 times as much chance of getting a merit scholarship. Here are even a few more reasons why I think you should take the SAT or ACT and spend time to prepare well. First of all, you won't have to limit yourself only to those schools that are test optional. Take the test, and if you don't like your score, you don't have to send it if you're applying to some test optional school, but it gives you the choice. Secondly, about a third of students transfer sometime during the 4 years of college. About a third of students don't graduate from the same school that they started out in. Most schools do require SATs or ACTs for transfer students, but the SATs and ACTs are good for 5 years. So if you take them now, you won't have to take it again in the middle of college. And don't forget about those merit scholarships. So are there any students who really don't have to bother to take the SATs or ACTs? Yeah, there are some. If your family can easily afford to pay full tuition, you're not applying for any aid at all, perhaps you might not need the scores unless you're applying to a very selective school. Also, if you're applying to a school that's so close to home that you could commute, the school is more likely to be assured that if you get in, you'll probably go there, and that makes you a very attractive candidate. You may not need scores if you're applying as a commuter to school. Also, if you have very high GPA or outstanding and unusual extracurricular activities, not the captain of your team, but Junior Olympics, not somebody who is just doing science research, but somebody who invented something and has a patent for it. If you're one of those sort of students, you may not need a score. For the ACT, technically, there will be a June 13th test, but there are very few sites nationwide that are offering it and really none in this area. So you should expect to plan for the July 18th test if you can get in, or take the September or October ACT. But do apply early because they will probably be a waiting list. And most kids do take the test at least a couple of times. For the SAT, the June test has been canceled already. So you can try for the August 20th test. But they've also got a test scheduled for September 26th and October 3rd for students who are applying early action or early decision. If you plan to apply to at least some of your school's regular decision, you can also take the test on November 7th or December 5th. I expect both the SAT and SAT dates to be filled up because the students who are scheduled for March, April, May, and June have first priority. So don't wait. Sign up as early as you can. Keep checking back to see when dates open up and be prepared to take either test at a school that's not your home school. When should you start getting ready for the SAT or ACT? I say you should start now. Please feel free to ask me if you need to know what books to buy or what programs to use, but whether you do an online program or you prepare yourself or whether you come to a private tutor like me, please get started now. As long as we're talking about getting into college, other than good scores and good grades, are there any other things you can do to boost your chances of getting into a college that's right for you? In the past, I talked to students a lot about demonstrated interest, which means making sure that the college knows that you're serious about perhaps attending that school. But now you can't attend a college tour or a college fair or visit the school, but you'll still need a list of colleges that you're considering applying to. Once you have that list, you can contact each college's regional counselor. Their email is on the school's website, and ask them a couple of questions that can't be answered on the website, like how many students have my major, or how hard is it to transfer from one major to another. That shows that you're taking seriously that college and that college's programs. Also, go on Facebook, even if you have to create an account for yourself, and join each school's Facebook group. That also shows you're interested. by all means visit each school's website and fill in the send more information form. They'll send you back an email, and they can actually track how long it takes you to open that email and whether or not you click on any links that are in that email. So go ahead and do all those things to demonstrate how interested you are in the school. And then be ready with your application by mid-September, because the students who know where they want to go and apply early are going to have a tremendous advantage, especially this year. If you have any other questions, please check my website, wendysiegeltutoring.com, or email me at wbsiegel@gmail.com. And thanks for watching. And now get off of YouTube and start studying.